KBNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Whole Tree Care. Chief Justice Matthew Durant has rescinded mask mandates for all court facilities in northern Utah. The order goes into effect on Monday and is based on the current levels of COVID-19 in the area. Back on September 17th, 2021, Justice Durant, on behalf of the Utah Judicial Council, issued an administrative order which included a mask mandate in all court facilities located in a county designated by the Utah Department of Health as a medium or high transmission index county. The CDC recently updated its guidance on mask use and no longer recommends wearing a mask in a county with low or medium community levels of COVID-19 unless an individual is unvaccinated or at higher risk for the illness. In a press release, court spokesperson Tanya Mashburn said in light of the new CDC guidelines, an amendment was warranted to the part of the council's order that mandates the wearing of a mask in court facilities. The mandate is rescinded for any court located in a county that has been designated as a low or medium community level of COVID-19, which Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties are currently at. The mandate is still in effect for court facilities located in counties designated as high community levels. KBNU News Time is 5:06. KBNU weather for tonight. Chance of some rain showers this evening, then a chance of rain and snow showers after midnight. Low around 30. Rain and snow showers likely Saturday morning, then rain and snow showers in the afternoon. Colder, could see an inch accumulation, high around 40. It's been to 51. It's 51 degrees right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call Dr. Paul Daines at 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com.
Is it too early to bring up yard work? What? Okay, but this is different. I'm talking about tree pruning. I know we haven't escaped winter yet, but right now is the best time to prune your trees. And the only thing you have to do is call Whole Tree Care, 760-6587. Right now they're offering an exclusive radio discount, so be sure to ask for it when you call, 760-6587. Get ahead of the spring rush. Get your trees and shrubs trimmed by Whole Tree Care, 760-6587.
KBNU News Time is 5:08. A new program to help send supplies to Ukraine was announced Thursday in Utah with the support of several local leaders. From March 4th today to the 14th, the state of Utah, along with many benefactors, are launching a massive campaign to help the country. Governor Cox said this is what Utah does. There are many ways Utahns can pitch into the effort, including monetary and supply donations. All donations will be matched up to $2 million thanks to the help of many Utahns and businesses. Aside from money, the program is asking for a variety of different supplies, including diapers, feminine hygiene products, shoes, socks, coats, waterproof jackets, warm hats, gloves, and mittens, also emergency thermal blankets, and things of that nature. Items can be dropped off at Megaplex Theaters, Smith's Ballpark, the Daybreak Community, and Vivint Arena in Salt Lake. The donations will then be flown to Europe in an Intermountain Life flight plane. The exact timeline for when the donations will be sent to Ukraine is still in the works. And wild swans are back in Utah, and Box Elder County has two locations where people can gander at the majestic birds. People can find the swans at the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge and the Salt Creek Waterfowl Management Area during the month of March. The large white birds are currently migrating through Utah and making stops in Box Elder County, so typically the two locations are a great place to see them. Division of Wildlife Resources suggests bringing binoculars or a spotting scope to get a good view of the birds. Utah Division of Wildlife Resources Regional Outreach Manager Mark Hadley said swans are graceful, beautiful birds, and you'll have no problem spotting them. They are huge and almost pure white in color. Both tundra swans and trumpeter swans rest in Utah's wetlands for some much-needed rest and refueling during their annual spring migration. The migration takes the swans from wintering grounds in California to nesting sites in Canada and Alaska. KVNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Local news and the best talk. News Talk KVNU.
Do you want to learn to ski or snowboard or know someone who does? Come join the Learn to Turn first-time beginner class at Beaver Mountain. $80 gets you a 2-hour group lesson, your ski and snowboard rental, and a Little Beaver lift ticket for the day. Learn to Turn is for ages 6 and up for skiing or snowboarding and is offered daily at 10 a.m. Or you can try Learn to Turn 1, 2, 3, commit and complete 3 Learn to Turn packages in one season for $220 and get a Little Beaver season pass for the rest of the season. Come on up and ski the Beav.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Monday, on This Morning, America's First News, the latest on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, how the world is responding, and the trickle-down effects for Americans. Also, new research may provide insight about where all the workers have gone as employers try to fill millions of job openings, and lowering your tax bill by taking advantage of health savings accounts. Monday, on This Morning, America's First News. Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM, your station for news, weather, and sports.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show, Friday, March 4th. Continuing on with part 2 of our recapping all of Batman ever, always, in a celebration of the big premiere of The Batman with Robert Pattinson in theaters now. We have a bit of a change in the lineup, though, that is led from, instead of Andy Morgan and his son Sam Morgan doing the Christopher Nolan years, we left off, of course, with the Joel Schumacher travesties, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Andy has fallen ill, and so instead it's Sam's special hour.
Yeah.
Sam's time to shine.
Yeah. Woo.
This is Sam. I've always wanted to talk to you about this because your dad, you grew up. Your dad loves movies so much. You have spent your entire life in movies, just like he has, right?
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to ask, have you ever had a movie that you two were so disagreed upon that it led to an argument? Or you got mad at each other for a second because he loved it, you hated it, or vice versa? Or do you tend to agree?
No, we usually agree. We like the same stuff. We like the same movies and like the same humor for the most part, you know. There's some, you know, like no, yeah, we agree on everything. I honestly can't think of a movie where I'm like, oh, I didn't really like that. Maybe the last, actually, of the Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight Rises. I'm not a huge fan of it.
And he is, right? That's his. I think that's his favorite.
No, his favorite's the Dark Knight.
Oh, that's right.
But he likes it a lot. But no, we get along for the most part. I mean,
he hates the Muppets, though.
I actually love the Muppet movie.
I know. I've never forgiven him for his attitude towards Muppets.
With Jason Segel?
Yeah, right?
It's Man or a Muppet.
It's hilarious.
When I'm going through an identity crisis, I listen to that song. It's really heartfelt.
Who doesn't, though? It's fun to have you. I'm glad you're able to do this because so when Andy told me you two were planning this, I was excited to hear the results. You guys decided that in the lead up to the premiere of this new Batman with Robert Pattinson this weekend, you decided you're going to watch everything, and you went way back, started with the 1989, right?
Yeah,
Batman. And so I'm trying to remember where we left off. I know we were making fun of Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Iceman in that Joel Schumacher train wreck, and you didn't hate these movies, right? They weren't like, you're not going to run and buy a copy, but
no. I mean, not Batman Begins, but the Michael Keaton one, it's pretty solid. It still holds up. The the Jack Nicholson performance is, it's classic.
Sure.
The second one, Batman Returns, I thought kind of hasn't aged well. It's kind of goofy. The whole Danny DeVito penguin thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm the penguin.
It's kind of weird, huh?
I'm going to bite your nose. And and then Batman Forever isn't, terrible. Or it's not amazing, though. It's, not really memorable. It's not, terrible enough for me to be like, oh, I didn't like that. I'm going to remember it forever. But it's also not good enough for me to be like, oh, that was, I'll watch that again.
Yeah.
And then Batman and Robin just is...
It is terrible, right?
So there's some movies that, in my opinion, are so bad they're good. Like the first Twilight, in my opinion, is just hilarious.
It is. It's funny how serious that was taken at the time, and now it is sort of just a cult joke. To actually, I know people that have Twilight parties because they've never liked them, but it's funny to sit around with a group of friends and watch them, especially that tree climbing running scene. But I haven't gotten there yet with the 90s Batman movies. So you're here today to talk about. This is when I've told the story to your dad many times, but just so you've heard it, I was never a huge Batman fan.
Yeah,
he wasn't. He and Superman were kind of the meh with comic book superheroes to me. I didn't hate them, but I didn't get excited about them. And I didn't really start to get excited about Batman and realize that Batman was actually one of the cooler comic book superheroes out there until the Christopher Nolan movies. That's when, as an adult, I sort of had a transition to the point of being a Batman fan. But it took those movies to do it because that was the first time I realized that, the Batman could be cool.
Yeah.
And so was that your first real exposure to, because a lot of these 90s Batman movies you hadn't seen yet before.
Mm-mm.
You just heard the stories, but these you saw starting with Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan's first in the trilogy, which I forget which year that was. Was that your first time really experiencing Batman on the big screen?
The Dark Knight actually was.
Really?
Because, Batman Begins came out, I was two, so I didn't
Oh, that's right.
I didn't see it. But I saw
can't believe it's been that long.
I saw The Dark Knight, right? And I loved it. When I was a kid, I'd walk around with a Joker card. I'd be like, here's my card, which is kind of concerning, but, nevertheless.
But also funny at the same time. So you let it slide.
I got a Tumbler toy for my birthday,
Oh, wow.
I got a Batman and a Joker toy.
Kind of jealous. I did not get the Tumbler toy, and I would have wanted one of those.
It was awesome. I had a lot of Batman stuff. But then, but they're great. And then I watched Batman Begins, and then I was old enough to remember seeing The Dark Knight Rises in theaters.
What was that like? Because that was a dark Batman, and a version of the Joker that was so twisted, and then all of a sudden you have. I remember after The Dark Knight, as The Dark Knight Rises was hitting theaters, I was just so certain they wouldn't be able to top Heath Ledger's Joker. And then what was cool is they didn't really try; they just went in a totally different direction. And Bane he's a good villain, I think.
Yeah, I think he's good. I kind of wish in that one they had just stuck with Bane rather than having the Talia al Ghul plot twist. That I was like,
where you find out Bane's kind of the the second or the
sidekick.
Yeah, he's the sidekick.
He's like the Robin.
Yeah, that was, and I never found her really believable as a villain. But
yeah, I didn't think her performance was that great. If I'm, and her death scene is really, really cringy because she just is like. Ugh.
It's sort of like one of those over the top when someone's intentionally being bad at dying on film in a comedy. So you went back when you did go back and see the first one, Batman Begins. We could just start there. What did you think of that opening? Because like I say, that was the first time I really became a Batman fan when I saw Batman Begins and thought, okay, this Batman can actually be cool and can be done in a complex way. But I was sort of underwhelmed with the movie itself because I'm a person that especially in a superhero movie, if your villain isn't good, I'm not going to like it as much. That was my only problem with the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew
Yeah,
Garfield. That lizard
the
thing,
first one.
just not. Oh, scary.
I'm gonna turn everyone
Lizard
into lizards,
professor,
and you're just
yeah.
like, okay.
Well, that's not even threatening at all. That might be cool.
In the first Batman Begins, though, I love that one.
Scarecrow.
I almost love. Yeah, I think Scarecrow. I think he's really creepy, and then they have. It's kind of like the same thing the third one suffers from, where it's like, oh, you think this is the villain? Well, just kidding.
Yeah.
Here's this person from the beginning you forgot about. And yeah, I really love Batman Begins. Honestly, like, it's one of the most rewatchable ones for me. More than I've just seen the second one so many times. It's the actions. I love the suit. It's just like a cooler version of Michael Keaton's suit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really awesome. Like, if you took out Batman out of that movie, it would still be, like a movie about like grief and like pain and like loss, kind of similar with the second one.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's really good. It's I gave it an 8.6 out of 10.
Really?
Just because the villain again is like, which, they were just like, we're going to nuke Gotham in the third one. And he was like, we're going to make everyone scared.
Yeah, he was, they didn't want to destroy the city. They wanted to remake the city.
It was kind of impractical. It's like, how long is this going to take?
That was it was a long game. That was one of the reasons I was sort of disappointed, because if you think that through from Batman Begins, like what say he had bested Batman, then what? You've got 10, 15 years of slowly trying to enact this evil master plan and hope no one else stops up to but I will give it that Scarecrow was creepy, at least.
Yeah.
And
it still holds up, really, for being almost 20 years old.
Yeah, I'm surprised. They don't feel that old. The Nolan movies don't. When you go back and watch 1989's Batman Begins, or Batman, and then Batman Returns, they definitely feel dated. But Batman Begins doesn't feel like a 20-year-old movie. It's still.
It's because it's not really campy, goofy, like the other ones.
That makes sense, actually.
It's less like comic book like it's it's pretty. I'm sure in maybe give it 15 years, we'll be like, whoa.
Yeah, that's. I wonder if that will be the case, because you can see some parts that might not age well technology wise. But that's you mentioned this already with Batman Begins. That car is very cool.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
So, I hate to bring it up because we'll have to talk about this on two sides of two different segments of the show here. But maybe it deserves that, because it's everyone's favorite, I think, of the Batman movies. Most people's favorite. But and I just found this out here today. This was your first Batman. The Dark Knight Rises, one of the best opening scenes in a movie. I said this on a recent show, though. I don't know if you've ever seen Heat.
With the mafia and the Dark Knight, with the bank and the.
Well, actually,
awesome.
Any Michael Mann movie, Miami Vice, anything he did, it has that feel. Like when the Dark Knight starts, you could be watching one of those, Ocean's 13 style crime movies, and that's the way it feels. And then I found out that's actually the movie Nolan was kind of making.
Yeah,
he wanted to make a crime movie, but keep it in the Batman world,
which I think it works really well. And in terms of all Nolan movies, they all start off really awesome.
Yeah,
they all have really great.
They all have good openings.
Yeah, and it just kind of submerges you into the movie.
Yeah. And
it's you're kind of in the movie, and
I think The Dark Knight Rises might have the best.
Yeah, with
even
the
though
plane scene, yeah.
Yeah, even though the Dark Knight is my favorite movie of the three, that opening scene, with when you first meet Bane, just
walk off from this plane with no survivors.
No, brother. Yeah, this is honestly, it's just, that's a fascinating scene, and it helps knowing going into that they actually drug a plane from another plane. They actually suspended a plane from another plane to film. Yeah. But I've always wondered, when it comes to Batman or to The Dark Knight, the middle film. I've always wondered if that's everyone's favorite because it is really the best of the three, or is Heath Ledger's Joker just that good?
I've actually was thinking about this with a lot of them myself. I was even thinking about this with The Dark Knight Rises, especially too. See, The Dark Knight, I feel like if you replace it with another villain, it'd still be really solid because I think a lot of the Harvey Dent stuff is really good as well.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point.
I think it has very good pacing too, and the dialogue's really great, the action's good. So I think it'd still be considered the best one. A lot of times the second movie is considered the best one.
Yeah. Yeah, there seems to be a thing with trilogies for some reason.
Like like the second Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The
better of the three.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. I think I think The Last Jedi is the best of the sequel.
Yeah, actually agree with that. The one trilogy that I so far disagree with that on is I actually like the third Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I actually like the third one better than the first or the second, but generally that middle movie being the best holds up. And we're talking about the Christopher Nolan Batman years. We started, again, in part one way, way back in 1989's Batman by Tim Burton. And Andy Morgan and his son Sam Morgan have worked their way up through the Batman years in lead up to this weekend with the premiere of the latest reboot of Batman, The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, in theaters as we speak. Andy Morgan, though, has fallen ill, so Sam's going it alone and doing, I have to say, a pretty good job of it. Maybe we should talk about Andy's future here in the next segment. I'm just kidding. Andy, if you're out there listening, we love you, but appreciate Sam sticking around to do this on his own, and we'll keep it going, talking all the Batmans ever with the new iteration hitting theaters this weekend. Sam Morgan here in the studio for the For the People movie show, and we'll be back right after this.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Utah Army National Guard. Aired by the Utah Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Best of Northern Utah, presented by Campbell's Snacks, home of Pepperidge Farm, is back.
Best of Northern Utah.
Support your favorite businesses by nominating them now at bestofnorthernutah.com. Have a favorite restaurant? Nominate them. Love where you buy your car or where you get your hair done? Nominate them for Best of Northern Utah, the area's biggest celebration of local business. Couldn't live without your gym or your favorite plumber? Nominate them all right now at bestofnorthernutah.com. Presented by Campbell's Snacks, home of Pepperidge Farm.
Best of Northern Utah.
These are the sounds of a dinner. But not just any dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. Because without food, it can't. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations to the COVID-19 Relief Fund are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Your help is needed now more than ever, and every dollar makes a difference. That's feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. On behalf of Feeding America and families nationwide, thank you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 Food Bank strong.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to.
I had to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom.
It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
Recapping nearly 30 years of Batman, well, more than 30 years as of this weekend, of Batman in theaters, in film, and the good and the bad and the ugly. Andy Morgan and Sam Morgan several weeks ago started with 1989's Tim Burton, Jack Nicholson vehicle, Batman, and they've been working their way through the films over the last several weeks. They're here today to bring us a review of each and every one, how Batman has evolved and changed, and we've now moved into the Nolan years with Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. Nolan took Batman to levels very different than we'd seen before. Darker, some say, but also, as Sam has said here, more complex, which meant it became the Batman for everyone. Then you throw Heath Ledger's Joker on top of this, and a lot of people are looking at the premiere of this weekend's reboot as unnecessary. But don't we say that about all reboots? And some of them have been pretty great, right? Well, we'll see how it all goes. The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, in studios this weekend, and we're making our way through the remainder of the Batman film catalog with the Nolan movies with our guest here in the studio, Sam Morgan. Andy Morgan had to leave us. Andy, we're thinking of you. Hope everything's okay. And we'll see you next week with a review of The Batman. Sam Morgan with us, though, continuing through the Nolan years of the Batman franchise right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Jason, KVNU News, brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Utah State men's basketball player Max Shulga left his native Ukraine at 13, but returns at least once a year. With war raging and his family at risk, he is frustrated that he cannot be there now.
Mixed emotions. When I'm calling my parents, I'm happy to see them, but at the same time I know there's other people and relatives of just random people just dying out there fighting for our country. So I'm obviously happy to see my my family healthy and safe, but at the same time I'm mad that all that is going on and I can't do nothing. I'm just all the way here.
During a recent home game against Colorado State, he was moved by a show of support before the game when USU students held up blue and yellow placards representing the Ukrainian flag.
One of the guys from the student section told me they had a surprise for me in the game, so I kind of expected it, but not to that extent. The whole section lit up in the Ukrainian flag, blue and yellow. That was really good. I enjoyed that moment, and I appreciate all the support.
He said he feels the spirit of the Ukrainian people will be the difference in this fight.
Just wanted to say that we're going to win, for sure. We're just going to stand through these tough first days, and then I hope and I know that it'll go smoother.
This is Shulga's second year with the Aggie basketball program. His parents, Boris Shulga and Olga Sosnovska, live in Kyiv. A 23-year-old Logan man already facing charges of raping two women earlier this year has been arrested again. Spencer Dodd was booked into the Cache County Jail Thursday after two more women contacted police claiming they were also sexually assaulted previously. Dodd was arraigned during a virtual hearing in First District Court this morning. He was charged with object rape, a first-degree felony, and 3 counts of forcible sexual abuse, a second-degree felony. felony. He already was facing charges of rape, object rape, and forcible sodomy, all first-degree felonies, and forcible sexual abuse, a second-degree felony. Defense attorney Shannon Demler said they had anticipated the new charges. He asked for both cases to be placed on the court's calendar for March 9th, when they will determine whether or not to request a preliminary hearing. Judge Spencer Walsh ordered Dodd to remain in jail without bail and appear again in court next week. He also told the suspect to have no contact with the alleged victims. According to the arrest report on the new case, Dodd reportedly met the alleged victim on a dating app geared toward members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They arranged to meet at a house near USU's campus. The woman told police during their date in September 2020, Dodd raped her after she had previously refused his advances. The assault continued until she was able to leave. Officers later allegedly found text messages between Dodd and the woman apologizing for his actions. In February, Dodd was arrested after two women reported being raped during dates with him. He was later released from jail on pretrial supervision. Logan City Police Assistant Chief Jeff Simmons said a fourth alleged victim has also contacted investigators, and police believe there might be more. They're asking anyone who may have been assaulted by Dodd to contact the police department. KVNU weather brought to you by Logan Dental Associates. Make your appointment at Logan Dental Associates with Dr. Brandon Preby, Curtis Taylor, or Anthony Larson. Or if it's more convenient, visit them at their Cherry Creek Dental office in Richmond. A full-service dental office to take care of the entire family. Mostly cloudy, chance of rain showers this evening, then a chance of rain and snow showers after midnight, low around 30. Rain and snow showers in the morning, and then a chance of rain and snow showers in the afternoon. Tomorrow, colder, accumulation around 1 inch, high around 40. It's been 52. Right now it's 47. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
Have you pulled your spring sheets out of storage, and do they smell stale and need freshening up? How about your blankets and your quilts? Are things dingy from winter use? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It takes no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, and it costs a lot less than the dry cleaners, and free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, too. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
Ah, that's better. Trade in the stresses of building a new home for relaxation. Visionary Homes' priority is giving you a stress-free building experience. Named the best home builder in northern Utah, Visionary Homes' team will guide you seamlessly through the home building process. Call today, 435-228-4702, or visit visionaryhomes.com to learn more about upcoming communities in Nibley, Logan, and Smithfield. Visionary Homes, built for living, built for you.
Internet carriers want to tell you they can save you money. What they don't give you is a personal face-to-face agent who knows you. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. We're saving people 10, 20, even 30% on their insurance. I'm so confident we can save you some dough. If I can't, I will buy you a donut next door at Schaefer House Bakery. Take my challenge. You've got nothing to lose. Either way, you get the dough. Quality First Insurance. Give us a call, 752-0101, or come in and see us.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
Welcome back to the For the People movie show with Sam Morgan here in Andy Morgan's shoes.
Hola.
Howdy. Andy Morgan has fallen ill. So you heard part one, Batman from 1989's Tim Burton Batman up to the end of the 90s, basically, early 2000s. with that franchise kind of just fizzling out, thankfully, finally. And then 2005, the reboot from Christopher Nolan really sets off a whole different Batman and supercharges the franchise. So we've talked about Batman Begins, and we spent some time on The Dark Knight as far as it as a movie. And Sam, you and I were talking about this through the break. Is The Dark Knight really the best of the three Nolan movies, or is Heath Ledger's Joker just the best villain? And I can never decide between the two because it is a good movie.
But I think there's definitely criticisms for the Nolan films.
Sure.
But like in regards to just like take them for what they are, I definitely think The Dark Knight is the best one. I've seen it so many times, so I have a hard time watching it now because I'm like I know what happens, so like at what exact time.
Yeah.
So if I want to rewatch one, I watch Batman Begins because I haven't seen that one as many times.
That's funny. I do the same thing as they've slowly rotated on and off of Netflix over the last year, and every time I see one's on there, I watch it, sometimes a few times, and I'm the same way. Batman Begins I hadn't seen as much, but the two scenes in The Dark Knight that I can always watch, in fact, this is embarrassing, I actually know the timestamps, that whole opening scene, up to the point of the bus pulling out of the bank into traffic, I can watch that whole thing over and over and over.
That's amazing.
And then the basement scene with when he walks in on the mobsters are having their little cold storage area meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And he walks in and starts out with, I thought my jokes were bad.
And he's like, you want to see a magic trick? And then he like,
you think you can steal from us?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite lines.
Or when he's like, half, they're like, how much you want to get paid? He's like, half.
Half.
And then they're like, you're crazy. And he's like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. That whole scene is just so well done by Heath Ledger, that whole scene walking the line between this completely irrational madman and this very serious crime lord with a plan.
Yeah.
And he does that successfully through that whole scene, back and forth and back and forth. And the confusion on their faces, the television, he calls the one guy. He's a squealer. It's just... to me, it's a really fascinating scene. But that's why I've always wondered, is it because... And then I think... I don't go to it as often as far as just scenes to rewatch, but the jailhouse interrogation, Batman and Joker locked in the interrogation room together.
Oh, yeah.
That's a compelling scene, too. But I've never really been able to decide myself if it's a few scenes like that, because I'll be honest with you, this is going to be unpopular. I don't really care for like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh, yeah?
It loses me a bit. It wanders off in the woods a little bit.
I've always thought it's really cheesy when Commissioner Gordon, he's at that point in the movie, is like, it's like The Dark Knight, and then the movie ends. I've always thought that part is a little, and like it's hard for me to take it seriously.
It makes you want to chuckle more than like get chills, which is what it's intended to do.
Which the Christopher Nolan movies does this thing really well, where it like kind of like it like teeters the line between like kind of like seriousness and like almost kind of like campiness, kind of like the Heath Ledger joke. It doesn't, and it kind of makes it like a little iconic because it's like quotable and you can like reminisce easily with it, but it's still like awesome. It's still like very well done.
And it has some great, like, especially those hospital scenes at the end with Ledger in the nurse's uniform. It's just a nurse's skirt, actually. It's such a great way to do a scene like that. But then, like you said, some of his lines.
The hospital they built and just blew up.
Yeah, and then they blow it up. But I love, don't worry, I'm only burning my half.
Oh.
That to me is one of the funniest lines in the movie, and it rarely gets, when I've seen it with an audience at least, it doesn't get a laugh, but I thought it was one of the funniest.
Or when he's like, why don't we cut you up, feed you to your pooches, see how loyal hungry dogs can be.
That's right.
I think
forgot about that.
Yeah, I think the dialogue and the action's great, which I was thinking actually when I was watching it again. I was like, I was trying to imagine being the age I am now and like time traveling back to 2008 and seeing it in theaters and just seeing everyone's reaction, right?
Yeah.
Because I just have to imagine like in that first scene when he pulls off his mask and you see Joker and like all this stuff and like it was brand new and fresh to people.
Yeah.
Like that had to have been crazy because you'd never seen anything like that before.
Well, and there was some, not really controversy, there was kind of a political debate around the movie because it ties in with a lot of things that were going on at the time. Debates over government surveillance and war powers. And then a lot of people felt like that whole scene with the two boats was a political allegory for some other stuff going on. And so you had conservatives that were kind of mad at the movie. You had progressives that were kind of mad at the movie. And that, I think, actually helped propel it a little bit. But if you watch the movie now, now that it's been removed from the politics and news stories of that time when it came out, you don't see any of that. It's just a movie.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Because, I think I really like that movie because it makes you think, honestly, and that's how you can tell movies are good movies. It makes you think.
Yeah.
And so even with that, because it's not like they're like advocating for something. That's one thing that
they're just bringing it up.
When movies do that bugs me is when they take a side and they advocate for something. Unless it's like obviously like something that's like pretty,
Yeah, like if that's the whole point of the movie.
Yeah, but like, but I like it when it makes you think.
Yeah.
And it really does make you think, like, what if that happened? Like, what would you do?
That's that movie. The line, "This is too much power for one person," I think is the line. Yeah, it's just it's a thoughtful Batman, but it's also, I think, one of the more violent. Well, I don't know. The body count, I think, is higher in the third, which we should transition to. So are you? Anything else about The Dark Knight you want to say?
No, nothing. It's great. I think it's good. I think it's great. I think, the Batman. In all the Nolan movies, in my opinion, I think, Christian Bale's Batman is just like pretty standard.
Yeah.
It's better than like George Clooney and Val Kilmer.
Sure.
Like he's the best in my opinion, but it's still like. I wish he would have done more, and they would have done more with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more.
Because it's pretty generic.
It's the supporting characters and guys like Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, guys like those that really do well.
Yeah, I've always thought, no offense to Christian Bale, because I think he's actually a great actor, but his Batman, it could have been anybody.
Yeah, no,
almost anybody.
He won an Oscar, right?
Yeah,
he's a great actor.
He's really good, but his Batman, it really could have been. And I'll be honest with you, as dumb as it is, I really struggled with the voice. I never really. By the third movie, I'd accepted it, but I never really got to the point where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You should keep doing that.
I like the
Christian.
voice. I like it, but what bugs me is when no one else is around. It's just him by himself when he's doing it. I'm like, dude,
you can.
Or like when he's with people that know he's Batman and he's still making the voice, and I'm like, dude, they know who you. You don't need to.
You don't have to do that anymore, Christian.
Like here in the third movie, he turns around and Catwoman does the disappearing thing, like where it's like they're gone while he's talking.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, that's what that feels like. And I'm like, dude, you're alone. You can just talk normal now.
Use your normal voice.
Like,
that was a nice transition, Sam. I'm impressed with your segue there into the third movie, and it fit. Catwoman. So when I heard Catwoman was going to be into the movie in the third movie before it came out, before I saw it, I was really disappointed because every time they've tried that before, it's been a huge flop.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer's made me want to.
Yeah, it's
cry.
just like, oh, please don't, and don't do Robin. Just do the Batman. But this, I think Catwoman is one of the highlights. Catwoman and Bane make The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I really like Anne Hathaway in it. I think she's pretty good. I think she adds a lot to the movie.
Yeah.
Because I think if you take her out of it, it makes it a little more boring and a little more standard.
Yeah.
But, her and Tom Hardy, I don't know. Have mixed feelings on Bane because I think a lot of the dialogue is cool. Yeah. And a lot of the fight stuff is cool.
Yeah.
And I just think he's a cool villain.
Your punishment must be more severe.
Yeah, exactly.
But he just has some cool, weird, sort of not villain lines.
Yeah, it's like Darth Vader is what my dad always says. Is a little like
that's a good comparison.
Darth Vader. I'm like, yeah, but kind of in the same sense of Darth Vader. It's not like whoever was playing Darth Vader was like an amazing actor, like was doing an amazing acting job. No. It's just like the lines are cool, the stuff he's wearing is cool.
It was good dialogue with a cool costume.
Exactly, and that's how I feel with Bane.
That's actually a good way to describe him.
I don't think it's like. I think the writing's great. I think his voice is cool, and his like costume is cool. But I don't think like it's like. Like they could have put me. If I worked out for 6 months and they put me in the Bane suit, I think I would have done just as well.
Done the same thing.
Yeah, I could have done the same thing.
That's one thing I will give Tom Hardy in that role is he has to convey a lot through his eyes. And there are a couple of scenes where he does that in a way that, well, I don't know. Once you've seen a movie the first time, you go back and see it the second time, it's hard to say whether you're interpreting what you already know they're trying to do. But to me, it feels like he's able to convey a lot of emotion with his eyes in certain scenes when he's supposed to be thoughtful or serious. But, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't excited about the third movie because of Bane. But after I saw it, that football stadium scene, that is one of the coolest. I mean,
that
is a very, very cool set of special
intense.
effects.
I was getting intense. I've seen it. I was getting intense because it's like you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt racing, right? And he's like, "Oh shoot, they're putting bombs in the concrete, and we're putting all our cops in the tunnels, right?"
Yeah.
And then, but then like they're going to kill Gary Oldman, right? They're going to kill Commissioner Gordon, right? And then there's all the Bane stuff happening too.
Yeah.
And it's very intense. I
have the opposite experience with the third one than I do the second one. The last 20 minutes really gets me.
In
the third one, whereas the last 20 minutes of The Dark Knight doesn't.
I remember people tearing up at the end of The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh yeah,
like who's Batman?
That was going to be my last question for you here today. And again, this is all happening in light of The Batman with Robert Pattinson premiering in theaters this weekend. And we'll have a full review of that next week on the show. So we'll spend a good solid hour on it, anticipating that this is going to be a hit with the audiences. I think maybe. I don't know. This is a really different Batman that we're about to see, I think, with Robert Pattinson in the role. But, Sam, when it comes to The Dark Knight Rises, it's the question everybody asks and disagrees on. Does Batman live? Do you have... Because a lot of people say that final scene where
it's like a fantasy.
That it's a fantasy, that it's Michael Caine's fantasy. He's imagining that he's seeing him across the cafe.
But see, I would say that, but then doesn't Morgan Freeman, they're like, oh, he fixed the autopilot.
Yeah.
So it's like...
I thought it was confirmed, but for some reason online, this is a huge debate still. Does Batman live or die?
I think he's dead. Or no, I mean, I think he's alive because Morgan Freeman's, is literally like, oh, yeah, he fixed the autopilot.
Yeah.
And he
ejected somewhere.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't it be funny if it, just still didn't work and Batman's like, well, never mind.
It's weird we couldn't find him ever. This new one, what do you think? Are people going to like it? Are they going to... You and I talked a bit about this is a troubled Batman. This is like Heath Ledger's Joker in the Batman suit.
Kind of.
I mean, maybe not that much.
Well, Matt Reeves said he kind of... It's weird. He based it off Kurt Cobain, kind of like Batman's like this sleep-deprived, secluded rock star, right?
Yeah.
Who's kind of has mental problems. Because, I mean, you're dressing in a bat suit.
He has a costume that he wears out on Friday
Alfred
nights.
is kind of like the comics a little more, where he's like a retired MI6, and he kind of helps train Batman. But it's definitely more like noir, like David Fincher. Kind of like Seven. I've heard. It's
gonna be darker.
Yeah, I hear that the Riddler's really good. That he's really great in it. He's creepy. There's some scenes that are almost like a horror movie almost.
I saw an interview with Paul Dano with him saying that he there were times when he felt like he was almost in a horror movie.
He said he lost sleep playing the Riddler. It's got 86% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Not bad.
Yeah. Which it was 89 the other day, but it's got 9.1 out of 10 on IMDb.
Not bad.
And I don't know. The cast is really great. Robert Pattinson, he's a weird guy, but he's a great actor.
Should be. I'm excited to find out, and I hope listeners are excited as well. It's always fun when we have a big reboot like this. We're out of time. Sam Morgan, thank you for stopping by and filling your dad's shoes, and I hope your dad recovers and is well. Andy, if you're out there, we miss you. But Andy will be back next week. We'll have a full review of The Batman with Robert Pattinson. We'll spend the full hour on that, actually. And again, Sam Morgan has been our guest, Andy Morgan's son and fellow movie. Well, so Andy's nickname here on the show is Movie Boy.
Movie Boy?
So, yeah.
I'm Movie Boy Jr.?
Can we call you Movie Boy Jr.? Okay, fair enough. Sam Morgan, our guest, talking about this project he and his father Andy undertook over the last several weeks, watching every Batman ever in the lead up to the premiere of this weekend's The Batman with Robert Pattinson in theaters now. Thank you for tuning in. Sam, thank you for being here. Andy, thank you for being a part of Part 1. And we'll be back with Part 3 and a review of the latest movie next Friday at 5. Stay tuned. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce invites you to attend the annual Awards Gala, Friday, March 4th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Enjoy a wonderful evening of fine dining in recognition of Cache Valley's outstanding businesses and individuals. This event is sponsored by Engel & Volker, USU Huntsman School of Business MBA, the Herald Journal, Cache Valley Hospital, Lee's Marketplace, and Intermountain Healthcare, featuring musical guest Kennedy Dodds. Don't miss the Cache Chamber Awards Gala, Friday, March 4th at the Riverwoods. Reserve your seat at cachechamber.com or call 752-2161.
Draper Philharmonic and Choral Society and Cache Valley Arts bring you an Easter event unlike anything that's graced the stage in Logan ever before. March 25th and 26th at the Ellen Eccles Theater with cinematic music, Broadway-level talent, and a cast of over 100 exceptional musicians. King of Kings along with Lamb of God combine to give you an epic musical experience. This concert is a musical panorama of the life and mission of Jesus Christ, told by those who were there. Tickets are available at draperphilharmonic.org or cachearts.org.
West Liberty Foods in Tremonton is excited to announce that they've increased their starting wages to $17 per hour for general production and to $19 per hour for machine operators and forklift operators. A shift premium is added on for the second shift of $1.50 per hour. West Liberty Foods offers paid vacations, attendance rewards, 401k, medical, dental, and vision insurance. Looking for part-time work? Pick the days you'd like to work. Call West Liberty Foods at 435-207-7000 to speak with a recruiter today.
Monday edition of Clay and Buck will be back from Texas telling you about our great weekend down here, and we'll be diving into the absolute latest in Ukraine. Plus, Buck.
Taking a look at the COVID numbers, we are almost, it seems, out of the woods when it comes to these restrictions for now. But is Ron DeSantis and others like him going to be able to make the case that they should go away forever? We'll dive into that and more coming up on the Clay and Buck Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM at 610 AM.
Hey, this is Grace Gosted. I'm a singer-songwriter, and like many, I've been traumatized by years of bullying. You're ugly, you're stupid, you're gay, you're worthless. Bullying causes real harm and can result in severe long-term depression, anxiety, addiction, and even self-harm. I created the Black Box Project for anyone who has ever felt different for any reason. Go to theblackboxproject.org to help you take the first step to healing. You are not alone.
This is Logan City Police Chief Gary Jensen. Scammers are continuing to target people in the Cache Valley. Fraudsters often threaten with arrest, withholding medical care for loved ones, or offer to sell or purchase items at discounted or inflated prices. Many of these scams often involve third-party gift cards or other money-exchanging services. If you receive an offer or are threatened like this with immediate punishment unless you comply, hang up and call the police to report it. Please do not become a victim.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. Stop texts. StopRex.org.
That is our time for today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Fun to go back 30 years of Batman in films with Andy Morgan and Sam Morgan helping us out with that today. Andy and Sam several weeks ago undertook this real hero's effort to watch every Batman movie ever, and now you're up to speed with us wrapping up with the most recent Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises as a nice segue into this weekend's premiere of The Batman with Robert Pattinson. We'll spend next week at 5 o'clock the whole hour on Pattinson's The Batman, hear what Andy has to say, what Sam thinks of the whole endeavor, and it's been fun. Hope you've enjoyed this recap of Batman in film, going back more than 30 years with Andy and Sam really taking one for the team with those Schumacher movies. But Check them out. Most of them are on HBO Max if you'd like to watch any of those. The Pattinson movie in theaters this weekend. The Nolan movies available Amazon Prime and on one, at least on Netflix. If you want to have your own little Batman marathon, they're all out there. Thanks again to Andy and Sam Morgan for their time and effort in this project. Thanks to our listeners for tuning in, and please stay tuned. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
Around the clock.
I listen to you all the time.
News Talk, KVNU Logan, 610 AM at 102.